Good evening once again. Welcome to another presentation of the Issues Room. It's the 56th edition here, live from Monrovia, Liberia. I'm under the weather, so my voice is a little hollow, but it's good to be back here this beautiful night. It's night side here, about 11 o'clock, just a little after 11 o'clock here from Monrovia. Uh, you know, can't say it any better. Being home, the motherland, but I came down with the weather because of the change in weather coming from the winter into the hot summer heat here, the fumes, the dust. I mean, just everything. And I knew it would have happened, but it's good to be back with you folks. Um, Can't ask for more. Gracious day. God is good. The Issues Room is on Tuesdays and Fridays, and we broadcast 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. and 11 p.m. GMT here in Africa. I'm still here. I'm still having a wonderful time with family, friends, relatives, and loved ones. Even though all is not rosy with everything that is happening, but we can ask for more. Great to have you all. Let me go back to the U.S. where I have Mr. Moses Sandy in studio live from Newcastle, Delaware, in his issues room. It looked like we were thinking about it.
Yeah.
Welcome, Moses.
Uh, Thanks, Volcano. It's good to be back with you in the issues room, and both of us decided to come in our issues room to shares tonight. Wherever you are, we want to welcome you to this broadcast. We hope you can share the link to others who are out there, and we have come to bring you the issues of the day.
Moses, we're going to have a wonderful conversation tonight. I'm telling you, I'm prepared, irrespective of my voice,
Yeah.
with everything happening. Listen, good conversation. Quickly, Elizabeth Bowen, welcome to the house. La boy Tengbe, long time, man. Welcome back. Namiento Nino Brown, you're gathering, putting all your pieces together. Welcome, welcome, Florence Kingsley. We wish a lot of you were coming tonight because the conversation here going to be great. We have one particular person who's going to be joining us shortly, but in the meantime, let's go to trending news. We don't have all the time in the world, Moses. So many things happening here in Liberia. I mean, the fun. I mean, things that you don't even expect. I never thought that when somebody graduate, they would walk the street with a placard and make students to march for a bachelor's degree. Imagine a bachelor's degree. What
A
happens when you
bachelor's
get a
degree, so they
master's
were
or a doctorate? A bachelor's degree. Can you imagine that? But that's the
and,
trending news. I'll let you start, my brother. I'll let you start.
and look, you just took it out of my mouth. Let me just add on to what you said. Today was the 102nd commencement convocation of the University of Liberia. The university put out 502 students from various colleges, including the College of Liberia. Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Koijee was one of the graduate, or let me say he's one of the graduates. Uh, Before the convocation, the story out there has been that there are people who believe that the mayor, did not really work for the degree that was awarded him today. The university conducted its own probe into it and established that, yes, indeed, the mayor earned his degree. But like you said, Volcano, I was really shocked today when I saw people in the streets of Monrovia, especially students, marching in celebration of Mayor Koji's, bachelor's of arts degree. I just
And I
couldn't
and
wrap
I
my head around that.
and I read a lot of stuff from the internet,
Mhm.
Facebook and stuff. There were comments coming from folks, and some of the students said that they were forced to march,
Oh
according
wow!
to some of the folks who wrote what they wrote. That you know they said that if they didn't go to march and celebrate the mayor, they will not pass their exams. And
Wow!
interestingly, a bachelor's degree now is like high school papers.
Of course, man.
Let's
Come
be
on.
practical here.
Hmm.
You spend a whole day having people in the sun to march for a bachelor's degree.
Hmm.
It's a high school paper right now, you know. So
Yeah.
to give credit to him, it's good that he had, the stamina to go and earn his degree. But what's all this celebration is about?
But hey, don't leave this
You
out.
know,
The president, George Weah himself, joined the celebration at the party headquarters, the CDC party headquarters. They had a very elaborate program at the CDC party headquarters in honor of Mayor Koijee and others who graduated from the University of Liberia today.
so that tells us these guys are learning on the job to the point
Yeah.
that when they get a degree while on the job,
Hmm.
it becomes like something so magnified.
Oh, yeah.
Again, hats off, give them the credit, but don't go the extra mile to make this like the biggest thing has happened.
No.
Earning a degree today should be a privilege to every a right rather to every young person. We should stimulate our educational sector so that all of our young people can earn a degree, because that puts us, you know, among
And
the
make the
the
society competitive.
yeah,
Yeah.
make our society competitive, not just for Liberia but across the African continent. So again, really, we applaud the mayor, we applaud those other folks who got their degrees, but when you have a parade, then it just takes away, uh, for me, I personally wouldn't want to go having a parade, taking students from classroom just to come and hold a banner and march the streets.
And
I think it's
magistrates,
overboard.
yeah, magistrates of Monrovia and Volcano. You know, when you and I were in Liberia, when Samuel Doe graduated from the University of Liberia, we didn't see that. We did not. And to see just this man is just a mayor
And I
to
heard that
be
he was the
celebrated
deuce.
like that.
They said he was the deuce.
Yeah, I'm told that
How
he graduated what, magna cum laude.
Hmm.
You know, he got one of the highest. And there are people who are saying that hey, the degree is questionable.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
Moses.
so the second trending news is that Tottenham University, located in the Harper Meriden County, is still in the news not for something good, but the faculty and students of the university continue to protest. They are calling for the replacement of the university professor, I mean, of the university president. The allegations are that he has engaged in mild administrative practices. And one of the serious allegation against him is that the faculty claim that the university has over the months been deducting, payments from the salaries for pension benefits, but those payments have not been remitted to the agencies in charge. That need to be investigated. There are also reports that learning conditions at the university are very, very deplorable. That's why they want the president of the university to leave. And would like to wrap it up there on trending news.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
tonight, Moses, we gonna have a great conversation. We have three segments here to talk about tonight. We have the issue with the U.S. ambassador disclosing that there will be targeted sanction against certain government officials who are very corrupt, put forth by the American government. Then he also kind of frowned on the fields in Monrovia, um, and blamed the just graduated Mr. Mayor
City mayor, yeah.
Koijee for not putting effort to cleaning the city. Um, and then we're also going to look at the little chatter going on with the pairing of tickets. Some folks are thinking that the best ticket now is Cummings, vice president, and Joe Boycott, president, meaning in
The
the
2023 elections,
presidential elections
presidential
coming up
elections.
next
Yeah.
year.
Hmm.
They think that that would be the best ticket to unseat President Weah after his 6 years. So that's what we'll be talking about. Before we commence the conversation, let's bring in our good friend and brother. He is the president of the Association, I got it right tonight, Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, Alja, Mr. Joe Mason. Mr. Joe Mason, I must first openly say welcome. I have a profound degree of respect and regards for you. If Liberian community, Liberian organizations had a person like you leading the cause, so many good things will come to our communities, our society, and the country at large. You are a wonderful gentleman. You carry yourself distinctively amongst your peer, and I wanted to commend you tonight for the opportunity to be on the same platform with you. Very intelligent and astute gentleman, and I would say I can't say it any better. I stand with you as the president of Alja through your tenure, and so welcome to the issues room. This is not your first time, but I thought to give you this flower because I see you differently, Joe. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Volcano. I'm certainly honored and humbled by your recognition. I think the sentiments are similar. I do have similar respect and admiration for you, and Moses as well, for your work over the years. You guys do an awesome job trying to inform and educate the people, and I couldn't be more proud of the work you're doing. So I'm excited to be on the issue room again. I know it's been a while since I was last here, so I'm looking forward to the conversation. And I know you're in Monrovia, and I was saying to you earlier before we came on live that you don't sound very well, and I'm wishing you a speedy recovery.
And Mr. President, let me also join my friend and brother Vakana to welcome you again to the issues room. Like you said, this is not your first time, but I would like to join Vakana in saying that we appreciate your work. We appreciate the work of Aja, and we appreciate the Aja family as well. Continue to do what you do for the good of our country. Welcome.
Thank you, Moses. And
Sure.
obviously, the work I do, it kind of follows the work you did. So, yeah, so I just want to commend you as well because Aja would not be where we are today without the sacrifice you put in there, all the work you were able to accomplish prior to my taking over. So, thank you for your work and what you've been able to accomplish for Aja over the years.
Thank you.
So, Moses, I'll let you kick off the conversation tonight.
Okay.
Uh, this is more of a conversation. Joe Mason is not our guest. We're
Mhm.
not interviewing Joe. We're discussing
We're
the
discussing tonight,
yeah.
right?
So I'll let you
Yeah.
kick it off. Lay the
Oh,
platform, lay the premise, and let's
okay.
have this conversation. Before then, we'd like to welcome Cecilia Brown. Good evening. Welcome Stacey Morris and Eric Togba and Seliki Kamara, who say welcome to you guys, and Washington S. Dolo. Thank you for coming. Share the page, invite more people because this conversation is going to be good. Moses?
Yeah. So, Mr. President, we would like to start a discussion this evening by taking a closer look at the open editorial, simply referred to as op-ed, published by the U.S. Ambassador Michael McCarty on Wednesday of this week. In that editorial, the ambassador, expressed strong positions, regarding the fight against graft in Liberia, how the situation has declined. He expressed concern about the issues of good governance. The ambassador claimed that since 7 years ago, the U.S. government, on an annual basis, commits more than 110 million US dollars in foreign assistance to the government of Liberia.
And this
So
is annually.
annually. So it means that since Mr. Weah came to power more than 4 years ago, almost 5 years now, his administration has benefited significantly. The ambassador also claimed that on an annual basis, the United States taxpayers commit over 79 million United States dollars to the health sectors of Liberia, with the primary objective of improving Liberia's healthcare system. The government also provides over $9 million annually for the purchase of drugs and other necessities for the people of Liberia. Yet he was shocked that hospitals and clinics in Cologne and Sanikule don't have drugs. There are reports of no drugs. The U.S. Embassy in Monrovia reportedly conducted its own probe into what is happening, and they were able to establish that ordinary citizens were misdirecting or misapplying, donations intended for the healthcare sector to the personal use. The ambassador was also shocked that despite all the investment into Liberia, massive corruption, brazen corruption, continued to erode the principles of good governance in Liberia. The government remains unaccountable. As head of one of the most vibrant, one of the most um, engaged U.S. based Liberian organization, we thought to invite you here to really get your perspective on this. What do you think? What is your position? What is our position? How do you see it? Do you agree with the ambassador?
Okay, thank you, Moses. I think you provided a really nice summary of what the ambassador said.
Mhm.
I'm hoping at some point in the program we can dissect,
Ye-
the ambassador op-ed, if not paragraph by paragraph, but then, in a way that people get to benefit and understand some of the points he made. But I want to begin by saying that what the ambassador said in his op-ed, it's nothing new. That the city is dirty, that corruption runs rampant in the country, those are nothing new. A large segment of our population, including many organizations such as ours, have highlighted these issues many times over. But I think what the ambassador did is to give a bigger microphone so that everybody now is talking about his op-ed, which I think is a good thing because, look, Liberians generally, including the president and most people in the government, care enough about what the U.S. government thinks about Liberia because, and rightly so, as a country, we are heavily dependent on the United States. The United States is perhaps our biggest ally. So we should care enough about what to say. So, considering that many Liberians have talked about these things before, I would say forget what JJ Rabel will think. Let's consider what Liberians are saying right now about what is evolving in the country. I also want to preface my remark by saying, look, I'm one of the most apolitical person you will find ever. I try to shy away from party politics and partisan labels because I believe that it makes it difficult for you to be able to present, sometimes not all the time, an unbiased opinion on issues involving the country. So I try to stay away from those partisan divide. I also want to add that I really do want this government to succeed because if the government succeeds, the country succeeds, we all are better off for it. But if they're falling in their constitutional responsibilities, I think we as citizens have a right to call them out. So I think what the ambassador did was laudable. His op-ed could not have come at a better time. And just some quick thoughts about, I mean, that came to my head when I read his op-ed. First, I think what it did, it paints this rather unfavorable picture of the government because it presents the United States government as caring more but the welfare of Liberians than the government they elected to lead them. But imagine the ambassador, you mentioned, imagine the ambassador talking about why there are no drugs in hospitals and clinics in Colahon, in Luffolk County. There are no drugs in hospitals and clinics in other
Sounded
parts of the
good.
country. He also talked about the fact that babies and young children and
Yeah.
pregnant mothers are dying needlessly because people are diverting public medical resources to their personal gains. This is something our government should be advocating and calling for it and be angry about. It is not an ambassador who should be talking about these things. Our government should be at the forefront talking about these things because when folks in Kolahun are dying, it reflects negatively on the government. If drugs are being siphoned off the people's personal clinics and being used for their personal benefit, it takes away from meeting the healthcare expectation of our people. Secondly, the op-ed is also a scathing rebuke of this government professed commitment to the fight against corruption. What the US government is saying essentially is that we don't believe you guys are serious enough about this effort that you say you're doing to fight corruption. So we intend to impose targeted sanctions on those responsible for undermining the rule of law and
Okay.
trust of the Liberian people through corruption. Because I bet you, if the US government had any confidence in our ability to fight corruption, they would not be going this extra mile. But they don't. They lack, every confidence in this government ability to fight corruption. And that's an indictment on this government as well. The last thing I want to add before we get into the specifics, as opposed to being critical of the ambassador and his comments, I would think the government needs to see this as a wake up call, one that moves them into action to begin addressing some of these concerns. Look, the United States, and I heard all kinds of comments from folks who support the government and the policies of government, pushing back against the ambassador and asserting that we are a sovereign nation and we cannot be dressed down the way the ambassador spoke to us. Look, the United States is not our problem. Ambassador McCarthy is not our problem. We are our own problem. Let's stop the fake outrage because you're not doing the president any favor by going out there and criticizing the ambassador and pretending that the things he talked about do not exist. No one has criticized the substance of the ambassador's remark. No one has said what he said are not true. What they're criticizing him for is the fact that he said it bluntly. Look, let's address the issues that we have at hand. And because if we address those issues, our country will be better off for it. So attack the issues and stop attacking the ambassador.
I agree.
So, I mean, when you look at the situation with the current health minister her own hospital,
Yeah.
whether it's a clinic or a hospital, wouldn't you consider that a conflict of interest
Of course
when
it
the
is.
ambassador speaks of missing drugs or so? These are the kinds of things that we frown upon. And when we say these things, then people think that we are against a certain group of people. But it's a serious conflict of interest in any society,
And because
particularly.
to your point, we're not alleging that I mean the minister is offering drugs to a clinic, but the very fact that she has a clinic,
Yeah.
you know, for someone who is in charge of the healthcare
The
delivery system,
optics is just not good.
the optics is
That's
not good.
that's
It's
what I'm
almost it's,
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
the same thing with us. It's the same thing with the minister of education having his own
Yeah.
school.
Yeah,
You
running
know,
it was good.
he has his own school, but he's the head of at the Ministry of Education who oversees all schools in the country.
Mhm.
And that's a conflict of interest, and those things should not continue to exist in the country, even if there was no clear allegation of impropriety on the part of big government officials. The optics itself is really bad.
It's not good. And
Yet
just
and,
to
and yet
piggyback,
and yet
go ahead. Go ahead.
and yet with all of what has been said regarding these conflict of interest, yet Mr. President, Weah has turned a blind eye.
Of
So what
course.
do you expect the international community to do? They have done their probe, they have done their examination of the situation. I mean, you talking in the last 4 years since President Weah came to power, we're talking $440 million. If
Mhm.
it's $110 million a year.
Yeah, yeah.
But look at what can we show for it.
Nothing.
But And let me just add this quickly, Moses.
Mhm.
It would be a little off topic, but I just wanted to add this in quick. Right now, ask any Liberian citizen if you can find $5 banknote on the market. $5 banknote is now on the market. You can barely see $10, but there's no $5 banknote right now on the market. But this government just, excuse me, printed money, and we can see the money on the market. But $5 banknote has disappeared. $10 barely. So 20 now is the least currency on the market. So the things that you were buying for $5 now you're obliged to buy them for 10 or $20. I'm just giving you an example. So
Yeah,
all of these things are the reasons why you can't say there's no corruption in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
Look, look,
serious matter.
yeah. Look, look,
it is.
look, I don't want us to pretend that corruption began with this government and will end with this government. No. Corruption is endemic at every level of our society. And I think it would be unfair to blame this current government for everything that's gone wrong in the 174 years or 175 years of our existence. But this government has been in power now for about 4 years, and the expectation is that they will take demonstrable action to curb corruption. That has certainly not been the case. I think to the contrary, corruption continues to fester, making it difficult for our people and stifling economic growth and development. I think we all can attest to the fact that corruption is an enemy of progress because instead of funds going to benefit the vast majority of our people, it is being siphoned into the pockets of the minority and it benefits them, which is why we continue to remain where we are as a country. So, look, asking the government to address head on this issue of corruption, I think is something they ought to embrace. They ought to welcome. Look, Moses and Volcano, look, the one thing the government seeks more than anything else is a stamp of approval from the United States, which is why we are paying lobbyists. We're paying lobbyists in Washington, D.C. to promote the interests of the country. You know, they put in this optics. Imagine the celebration that we'll have in Monrovia if President Weah gets an invite to visit Washington, D.C. and meets Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Imagine the celebration in Monrovia. I'm sure every sedition will put that image on the profile page. I would welcome it too because if the president gets to meet Biden, it shows that our relationship is getting stronger and our country will be better off for it. But you can't want the stamp of approval of the United States, but then at the same time, take ambush to the criticism they give you. You know,
Yeah.
you know, it was. I think we said this thing many times over. Do the simple things. You can't expect to be paying lobbyists to promote you when you're not doing the simple things. The people who are in the country, the ambassadors, see what you do. Do the things you need to do. As do the best you can to minimize corruption. The funds that are coming into the country, use it for the benefit of your people. Do those things, and you will get the invite to the White House. You will get to meet Biden. But lobbyists by themselves will not get you that invite if you're not doing the right thing at home.
I agree. And Mr. President, just to piggyback on what you said, the critics was saying that, oh well, the ambassador misspoke. The ambassador was too critical. He shouldn't be speaking like that because Liberia is a sovereign country. How do you speak of sovereignty? How do you boast of sovereignty when someone has to give you over $79 million for your healthcare sector? Someone is giving you more than $9 million annually to run your hospitals, and yet you cannot account for the drugs. And you're talking about sovereignty?
Yeah, yeah,
Isn't that being delusional?
yeah. Look,
Because if Joe Mason is providing food for my kids, but yet the kids are still hungry and he sees them, he say, "Hey Moses, man, what's going on here?" Now I say, "Oh well, Joe, do you know that I'm a adult of my own? I run my own." Of course, Joe has the right to question me because he's what? He's providing the support. So Ambassador McCarthy was right to say, hey, the ambassador spoke out of frustration, Jeremy. These
Yeah,
people pumping in on an annual basis more than $110 million
yeah,
in foreign assistance. Yeah, we see nothing.
yeah.
But Joe,
Mhm.
Joe, quickly. I know you want to come
Yeah.
in, but quick. Um, let's reverse a little bit.
Mhm.
Let's go to Ellen. 12 years.
Yes.
The American government pumped in money in this country.
Mhm.
We still can see where it going. But President, we are also gets a good chunk. We want to see where it's going. The
Right.
problem here is we always want to reverse, go in the reverse, and say what did Ellen do, what did
Right.
Charles Diller do, what did Todman do, what did Torbo do. Let's come from this what the past and look at the future, the present into the future. When monies are given now, they must be used for the intended
Intended
purpose.
purpose. Yeah.
Those monies must benefit the society. But when you see a few people having everything and the rest of the society is in peril, that there's no rocket science to determine that. The American ambassador is the eye of America in the country.
Yeah.
He is the diplomat that is between America and Liberia. And he's the one who draws the line. He's the one who tell the American people say whatever you send to Liberia is being well spent. He's the same one who says to them, whatever you spend ain't going nowhere. You're wasting taxpayers' money. And that's what. So this should be a wake-up call to this government rather than try to make a case. Because I read some of the stuff, Samuel Jackson, I even told him to come on the issues room. I saw his stuff. He's trying to, make a case. Well, put some economic spin on it, yes. But we're talking about now. And when this man is speaking, he's speaking in his capacity as ambassador now. Whatever happened when Greenfield was here, that's gone. Whatever happened when the previous ambassadors who were serving, it's gone. He's talking in his capacity because now he is the watchdog to maintain that relationship of America and Liberia.
Yeah, so I just want to make that comment on the analogy Moses made about me going to your house
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey Moses, you have your kids here, and I
Yeah.
know what you earn is not enough to
Yeah.
care for your kids. So I'm going to step in there and see how I can be helpful, right? So
Mhm.
I'm making some funds available to you, but then I'm seeing that the funds I'm making available to you, and the reason I'm giving you these funds, you're not you I see the kids, they're still in terrible shape. But man, I'm gonna call social services on you. Seriously, I'm gonna call them for you. To do some
So
to do to
Moses, you
do
got
some
to do
to,
something, man.
to do some background investigation. But the other point, we kind of to your point, in terms of the role the ambassador played. Look, these people are diplomats, right? And I believe the ambassador comments were not made in isolation. It
No.
was it was not made in isolation. If I believe it followed many private conversations that he held with government officials. Look, those people do their things behind the scene, and if it gets to the point where they're not seeing any progress, any change, then they come out and speak out about it. And I believe I believe that's what happened. And I think that how diplomacy worked. But let me take you back to March of last year, right? I think it was Congressman Chris Smith who claimed that President Weah had been allegedly depleting the country's resources, since his ascendancy, to the presidency. I think what he said,
Yeah.
his words were, he described the government as kleptocratic. That
Yeah.
those were Chris Smith's word. Just recently, during the bicentennial celebration, Dana Banks, who represented President Joe Biden, who led the U.S. government delegation, represented President Joe Biden, did not mention her words either.
This
Well,
is
she said
similar thing.
yeah, she said similar things. She said, our leaders, and I'm not quoting her verbatim, but she said our leaders are choosing short-term gains over the long-term benefit of the country. She called that an act of robbery, and she said, Liberian citizens are being robbed of access to healthcare, access to public safety, and education. I think she went even further. As she said, too many Liberian leaders have engaged in corruption and with the expectation that the United States will be there, to pick up the buck when
Yeah.
when they're not meeting the obligation to the country. So she said something similar. So for people who were quick to dismiss Chris Smith, and took Donna Banks' remarks as maybe a political talk, I think they should not take seriously this issue of corruption in the country. And the determination that the United States government is serious to go after bad actors who continue to amass wealth at the detriment of their own people. We don't have to look very far. Senator Prince Johnson and Senator Vani Sherman are now facing U.S. sanctions under the Global Magnitsky Act because of the very same thing. So, government officials who might want to dismiss this, who might think that, the government is not serious, they only have to look at Prince Johnson and Vani Sherman. Look, these people cannot care more for us than we care for ourselves. We are our own worst enemies. We are our worst enemies. I mean, how can you have these people say to you, look, the money I'm giving you, you're misapplying the money. You're not using it to develop. How can you have people lecture us like that? They would claim sovereignty. Oh, we want to beg these people, they gave us money, but then we don't want to be accountable for the money they're giving us. You can have your cake and eat it at the same time.
Yeah. And it is well put. That's why I think Liberians who read it want to see Liberia progress. We all should be celebrating the ambassador. His statement was not made, spontaneously.
No, no,
He wasn't acting in a moment. It was well considered.
yes,
In February of this year, the U.S. House of Representatives passed Resolution 907.
yes, yes,
In that resolution, the United States government urged the Liberian government to redouble its efforts in the fight against corruption, improving human rights. Despite the passage of that resolution, Liberia is still underperforming in fighting graft and improving human rights. Yes, like Joe said, when we speak about dishonesty, we speak about corruption in Liberia. It did not start with Mr. Weah. But when Mr. Weah campaigned, he said he was coming to the leadership of Liberia to improve governance. And how do you improve governance? You improve governance by what? Being accountable. And that is not happening. When he got to the president, when he got to the presidency as president, he himself set the example for bad governance. In less than 6 months, what did he do? He lined out several homes under shady conditions. So when the U.S. ambassador say, hey, you guys are not making effort in continuing graft in this country, and somebody comes and say, oh, well, we are a sovereign country. Oh, really? I don't know.
How sovereign are you when you can't even provide for yourself and your citizens?
Yeah.
Let's think about it from that perspective.
yeah, yeah,
The handles that come to this country, coupled with the remittances of Liberians in the diaspora, if it were not so, these people would be strangled. I'll be honest with you, because we have not revitalized our economy. One of the things I continue to say, in the absence of electricity, we cannot industrialize. We cannot. We're broadcasting right now by generator as I speak to you. From Robertsville Highway to Monrovia is pitch black dark. This is no secret. For 200 years of existence, we cannot provide electricity to Monrovia and its environs. And then you say that so the American embassy is running on generator.
Yeah.
Shouldn't the American rather embassy be running on power
Power.
supply through the LEC or whatever we decided to provide public electricity?
yeah.
But this is simple matter. I tell you this. One of the reasons why I think we're very right, gentlemen, again we continue to emphasize lack of rule of law. The lack of rule of law is the reasons why, one of the reasons why we are where we are. I was chatting with some young men, Guinea Pella boys, and I asked the young man, I said, wait a minute, the way they say y'all got motorbike in Guinea? He said, yeah, but not like this. He said, I came to Liberia, I was confused. He said, in Guinea, only one, the rider and the passenger. He said he came to Liberia and saw people holding steel raw, dragging on the quota, damaging the quota. He said that Guinea, they would take your motorbike from you and lock you up. He saw people toting cement, 4 5 cement bag.
Wow.
He saw a whole family on motorbike here. His English is broken, but he said this
Yeah.
one can happen in Guinea. But Guinea next door were using motorbike before we even started using it. So how can we sit here and allow our system to go in shambles?
Yeah.
Everything is broken down. Joe, if you come to Liberia, it would be your skin would creep with the lack of rule of law in this country. The nonsense that goes on is unimaginable. I'm telling you, it's unimaginable. Our country has never been the lowest in terms of any good. And this is no secret. The people who enjoy it, the people who feel that this is better for them because they haven't gone in other places to see how people live in civilized society, being held by standards, being held by law, being held by policy. I'm being practically honest tonight.
Yeah.
And we're not saying this because we want to create a bad image for our country, but it's the reality.
No.
You
It
cannot
is.
come to Liberia and be at peace. From the airport into Monrovia, you already know you're in another place. You get to ERW Junction, everybody doing what they want to do. You get to SKD Boulevard, every intersection, the marketeers, they come into the asphalt, leave the sidewalk and come in and sit on the side, off the sidewalk. So how would pedestrians walk on the sidewalk? And it's just business as usual. And time's running off, Joe and Mo. Time's running off for our country. There's no more time left. We're 200 plus years old now. Let's put it that way. Because we passed the centennial, bicentennial. Time running up. And so it's time that government wakes up. And for
Yeah.
the ambassador saying what he said is because he lives it, he sees it, he feels it, he smells it. He smells the dirt in the city, he smells the filth. He sees it, he drives around. And this is the reality. Liberia has never gotten to this edge in my lifetime. And if we don't do something now to really rescue this country, I'm afraid what's going to happen is in every sector of the country. The banking
Oh,
sector, corruption. The educational sector, corruption. The medical sector. Where in the world you and I know that you will go to the hospital if you don't have money, they don't treat you and later on
No.
charge you the bill?
No.
They'll tell you,
That's
say, oh, you got to pay before the doctor see you.
no.
So where's that oath that the doctor took or the medical practitioners took to save a life? But brother, I'm telling you, Liberia is at its lowest, man. I'm not kidding you guys.
yeah,
Every
no,
aspect of our sector is
It's
crazy.
sad.
I agree. I
People,
agree. Look, I think when I began my remarks, I think one of the things I said was that we are our own problem as Liberians. Look, what this op-ed exposes for me also, beyond the immediate criticism of this current administration, is our love for country, our sense of patriotism, as Liberians. Mind you, the folks who are being criticized today were themselves critical of the previous regime for the very acts for which they now stand accused. The question I ask myself, Volcano Moses, all the time is what guarantee do we have that folks who will take over from the current administration will be any different? Because, Mayu, we are all Liberians. Look, we have Liberians who are serving in these different ministries and agencies. We are Liberians first before we are seditions. We are Liberians first before we are folks from Unity Party or ANC. What sort of guarantee do we have? I mean, corruption is not limited to folks, who are serving now. As you said, people who serve in early government, many of them were themselves corrupt. What guarantee do we have? I think as a country, too often we place our interests above that of our country, and we claim we love our country. And it cuts across every sector of the country, whether it is the executive, whether it is the judiciary, whether it is the legislative, whether it's people, what is the Yana boy industry? And I think most of that I was sharing this a couple of days ago. Like, where you go to Monrovia and you take money and send maybe a little kid to go buy
Oh
you
yeah,
something. The person buys you something and come back and I give a correction.
the man giving you change,
And
oh man.
if change it might not be a correction. So this thing is deeply rooted in our country. And look at concession agreements we enter. We enter concession agreements with these multinational companies that seriously disadvantage our people but line up money in our own pockets. We prepared to sacrifice the greater interest of our people for personal gain. With all these multinational, whether it is ArcelorMittal, whether it is MNG Gold, all these different multilateral companies. You go to the House of Representatives and the Senate. The people pass bills, they pass laws that basically it doesn't serve the larger interest of the country, you know, but the personal pocket. So I think there has to be just a paradigm shift in terms of how we see our role relative to the development of our country. Except we have that paradigm shift, my brother, this will be a circle. And you were talking about we don't have time. We do look to 200 years. Look at where we are.
Yeah,
We
well,
are
we
one of the least developed country in the world.
mhm,
One of the least developed country in the world.
agreed.
What do we have to show for all the years we've been around? And I mean, except we find that, and I think it has to begin with leadership, honestly. It
Yeah,
has to
and
be a top-down approach to changing our mindset and transforming our country. It cannot be a bottom-up because we have this strong executive. So someone at the top has to be that transformational leader that leads us all in the direction in which we want to go. Except we get to that point where we have someone who is leading by example. Because honestly, I don't think the current leadership is doing that for us. Except we have someone who is leading by example, we remain stuck to where we are.
and Joe, like you said, I think one of the most significant challenge Liberia has now is the leadership gap. And we're not saying this because we hate Mr. Weah, but he has demonstrated over the years that he's just not in control of anything in the country. All these things happening, nobody hears from Mr. Weah. The system is completely broken. The rule of law is broken. Healthcare sector in tatters, educational institutions in tatters. The presidency sees nothing. Monrovia is overwhelmed with filth. The presidency sees nothing. And let's take this at the level of the family. The three of us here are all dads. How do you run your home when no one is in control? No one supervises your kids. How are you going to run and organize a cohesive family? That's what happened in Liberia. You have a president who is completely disengaged. He has no clue in terms of what is happening around him. He supervises nobody. He says nothing. He's never engaged. He spends more time on leisure than actually doing the work of the people. And this man ran for more than 12 years to be president. Today, he come across as completely disengaged. So, like you said, Volcano, Liberia needs a savior. That's what I think.
Yeah, yeah. The country is degenerating day by day. But quickly, if you just joining us, welcome to the Issues Room. We're here tonight, live from Monrovia, Liberia. Our panelists here, Moses Sandy, Joe Mason, the president of Alja, and Volcano Shelton. We come your way on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. and 11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, particularly here in Monrovia, Wherever you are picking up signal in the universe, we say welcome. We ask that you make the issues room a part of your social media platform for good information, good conversation, good discussion. We are the alternative to every other social media platform that deliberate on issues from Liberia and the rest of the world. So join us. Our lines will be open very shortly to engage if you care to come in. Um, but you have to call via WhatsApp because the number is not direct. So post the number please
You're
utilize
breaking.
WhatsApp calling. Yes,
Oh
I
my
think
God.
we've got
He's frozen.
Yeah, my man, the man's in
Yeah.
Liberia, my man. We were
The,
talking, we were talking about where we're going as a country, as a
Volcano
people.
is just what we're talking about. Yeah. He's frozen.
Yeah, that's I
Yeah.
mean, the internet
Yeah.
system is terrible over
It,
there, man. It's
it's
terrible,
terrible.
terrible.
He's not coming through. But oh my God. We have a glitch. This is a serious technical glitch. But let's keep talking until he comes in. Joe, I would say when he comes in, he can join us. The next phase of our discussion, the concern, the ambassador's reaction to the recent statement that came from the city mayor Jefferson Koijee that the MCC has not been able to make an impact in cleaning Monrovia because the international community is not giving the city government support. And the ambassador believes that it is not the responsibility of the international community to keep the city of Monrovia clean. He thinks it is the MCC responsibility, and he thinks it is the responsibility of the government of Liberia. What are your thoughts?
You know, the interesting thing about that, Moses, is that the outrage about our capital being dirty is not just coming from Liberia, it's not coming from foreign as well. Because wasn't it just late last year when the head of the European delegation to Liberia referred to Monrovia as a dirty, disgusting city? I mean, those were his words, right? And I think,
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, you know, he was criticized for those remarks, and I think he kind of took back his remarks. But that's the reality. My question is, where is the outrage from our own president? You know,
Yeah.
look, I'm sure something will be done if President Weah was righteously angry about the filth in Monrovia. If he has personal outrage, look, something will be done because look, we have a all too powerful presidency, you know, but we haven't seen similar outrage, you know, from the president. You know, let's try to figure out because the problem exists. Let's try to figure out how to solve the problem. What are the challenges when it comes to waste management in the city? Is it funding? Is it leadership? Do we have the appropriate leadership over at City Hall? I mean, clearly something has to be done, and I think the responsibility for solving this problem is clearly that of the president. Look, because if you are putting people in government and they're not meeting your expectation, you as the president have the obligation to remove them and ensure that you're putting people there who are up to the task. But I don't see any urgency on the part of this government. I don't see any urgency on the part of this administration to resolve some of those issues that we're hearing about today. Until you know we see that urgency, we will continue to have this problem. I don't think we need the head of the European Union or the U.S. ambassador to tell us that our city is dirty. It is dirty. We don't need to have them clean up for us. We need to clean it ourselves. And until we see leadership in this area, we will continue to have this problem as a recurrent issue.
Yeah, and Volcano, welcome back. We're looking at
no.
the
I
statement from the
listen.
ambassador.
Again, this is what
Yeah,
we're talking about.
yeah,
We in the 21st century. We don't have stable electricity. We don't have stable internet. But we got to make do with what we have.
yeah,
And these are the things that every Liberian should enjoy. Every
yeah.
Liberian should enjoy.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, they use it as a means of exploiting. If you look at the cost of data now in Liberia, all of the tariff to put on these basic services for the people to have is unfortunate, Moses and Joe.
Yeah.
But I was only trying to share that we'll be opening the lines shortly, and the call number should be done through WhatsApp. And I see some people here opinionating. You can call in to make your comments. Um, but I was also saying that we were to talk about we were to talk about the sanction piece.
Yeah.
We don't know yet because the ambassador has not said anything with regards to who are some of the folks that will be, except for the previous with Prince Johnson and that of Varney Sherman. But this should be in the works. Again,
It is.
um, I'm
It
sure in
is.
the coming days, in the coming months, we'll get to know some things.
Yeah. And like you said, it is in the world. It's just that no one has been listed publicly. But from the way things are unfolding in the country, I know some of those individuals already know themselves. It's just a matter of the U.S. government coming publicly to say, "Hey, John Brown is on the list." So if I were Mr. Weah, what I would begin to do now is to begin to take tougher actions in correcting some of these problems. This is what the international community wants to see. This is what the U.S. government wants to see. Tougher action. But if he sits back and spend 90% of his time on leisure, then of course some of his public officials will have to be blacklisted on the sanction list. Yeah. So we're talking about the ambassadors
The
yeah,
cleanliness
of
of the
Monrovia.
city.
Maybe you want to share your perspective on that.
Because
So,
you're in Monrovia right now, so you probably
Yeah, you know it
so
better
yeah,
than us.
around
matter of fact, I should have gone on all around to get some. But man, listen, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, yes, the dice are piling in many places around Monrovia, even in communities. The people, there's no structured waste management system. I don't even know if we have a landfill where we can take these things and make biofuel,
Mhm.
fossil fuel, whatever kind of fuel that can be used for other, incentives. So it's like, and what bothers me is that people overstep the bounds. Joe Moses, prior to this post-war arrangement, city and municipalities and the government were structured in ways that they did not overlap function. Today, it almost seems as the only mayor you hear about is Jefferson Koijee. The mayor of Painesville City, barely hear about her. I'm sure there's a mayor in Bartnersville, in Gardnersville,
Yeah.
in
And
other
other
places.
locals, yeah.
Yes. So that's why Jefferson Koji, because he wanted to be the doing
So,
we lost out back here.
so man, no, the man is having problem tonight. But like he was saying, it's like Jefferson Koji has become the doyen of all city mayors in Liberia. His authority appears to be extended beyond the city of Monrovia. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I will hope that with the mayor now with a degree in public administration from, from the University of Liberia,
Yeah,
maybe that will begin to solve our problem. Maybe apply those skills from the
some of
university
those
now
skills.
to address, to address the issue we have with waste management in the city. Look, but I think it's a serious issue.
Okay.
And I mean, like I said, there might be a lot of online issues, regarding why we have the kind of filth we have in Monrovia and why the issues that have been addressed,
Yeah.
But if it is an issue of leadership, I think the president needs to step in. And look, I think the president can be loyal to a fault, because people say he's an extremely loyal person, but Loyalty can only take you so far because at the end of the day, it is his legacy as the president of Liberia. If people are not accomplishing the tasks for which they were appointed, look, there's something called, reshuffle. You can move them to
Yeah.
somewhere where they're perhaps more capable, but I don't know why the problem continue to be an issue, ongoing issue, but it has to be resolved because we cannot live in a city that is as dirty as Monrovia. I mean, if you listen to the EU head of delegation, he said it's been in several other capitals, and Monrovia is by far the dirtiest. I
Wow.
mean, that is an indictment of
A
the
serious
leaders of the
indictment.
city
It's a
and the
serious
leaders of our
indictment.
country. Yeah.
So then, what happened? And Volcano, you are in Monrovia. Let's put this to you. The Liberia Marketing Association, all the businesses in Monrovia, the city government collects, garbage fees from these people. So what happens to that money?
How will I know, Moses? How will
No,
I
I
know what's
mean
happening?
what I'm saying
You
is
know,
that you're on
I
the
know. Yeah,
ground
I
from your own
understand.
assessment of things. Yeah,
I understand
yeah,
you. I'm just
I'm sure
saying,
it's just a
how would I
rhetorical
know?
question. Yeah.
yeah,
You know, because
yeah,
the hypothetical here is that you said it
mm,
right. The
yeah,
Liberia Marketing Association is the umbrella organization, just like ALJA
yeah.
is the umbrella organization for Liberian retired
Journal,
active
journalists.
journalists in America, the PUL for the press
Mm-hmm,
status quo here in Liberia, the Yana Boy Association. All these associations have, they're the umbrella and they have membership. So the Liberia Marketing Association must have a relationship
mm-hmm.
with the municipal government because bulk of what the garbage being uh,
Yeah,
uh,
garbage being put on comes from the
put out
marketers.
by
Yeah.
is coming mostly in the market sectors
Mm-hmm,
and communities as well. So there is there must be viable departments, sanitation departments within the municipal government that is responsible for ensuring that they are going through the community, going through the streets, to make sure that they're cleaning. And there must be a line item in the budget for that purpose. And the ambassador said that monies were being put in for garbage collection through this funding that has been given to Liberia.
yeah.
But where's the money being used? Is it being used for that purpose? You barely see any garbage truck, no sustainable garbage truck here in Monrovia. I haven't seen the ones that come in the back of my house in the States to pick up the garbage. You don't see it. You barely see any. They got little wagons with tricycle and can barely take 2 bags of garbage. And what the guys in Pins will go around with. And where they're taking the garbage, I don't know. The Liberian man said dig hole and cover hole. So when they take the garbage, where do they carry it? That's what I'm saying. So that's the problem. The country, particularly the city and its surrounding, is overcrowded. And one of the things that people are not people are not people are not trained, people don't have the developed know-how that when they drink a plastic bag of water, not to just throw it in the street. That's one of the things that killing our communities. Plastic bags of this $5, $10 water
Mm-hmm.
all over the place.
Hmm.
I mean, everywhere. If you go to dig a foundation, you'll be digging dump piles because the people are digging right in the spaces and burying those trash. And so if you go to dig a new foundation, you're going to be digging a whole lot of dump pile before you even get to the actual soil before you can cast your foundation. That's how bad it is. And
Okay.
I'm telling you, the fields everywhere. I would take some pictures and post them. You go to the cemetery right on Dupo Road, they gather all the garbage and put it right in front of the total gas station across the road. No respect for the dads.
Hmm.
No respect. So it's a serious matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not to blame Jefferson Koijee by himself, but I said I think he overexpanded himself. He's the Monrovia City mayor, not the mayor of Peensville, not the mayor of Kakata, not the mayor of Gardnersville. He should focus on Monrovia as a city government and focus on and let Peensville mayor handle her business and
Yeah.
let the other mayors handle their business because they were appointed by the president. They are all presidential appointees.
yeah,
But when he alone take over, then his name is
Yeah.
going to be the one that people are talking about.
yeah.
So
Which is why I
I
think
think that's where the line is not drawn.
yeah, I think this is why I raised the question because one of the interesting point the ambassador made is that why should foreigners be expected,
Yeah. To
to
claim
claim
Monrovia.
Monrovia? Should that be the responsibility of foreigners? Because that is a core function of local government. Just waste management. Are we going to wait for foreign aid before we claim the city? Isn't that something that the government should prioritize? And I agree. We kind of all knowing what all the issues are, what all the underlying issues are. We can say Jefferson Koji is to blame. Let the but the problem exists. Let's aim it has to be solved. So let's find out what the problem is and how we can resolve it. Because which is why I say it takes leadership to be able to do this. It's not just a one problem or two one problem. This thing now has persisted, for years now. And it seems to be that the problem is not getting resolved. What do we have leaders? What do we elect people? We elect people to solve problems for us. And so if the problem continue to exist, then something has to be done, which is why I'm saying the president has to take the leadership, he has to take the responsibility to ensure that not only the issue of garbage, you talked about, let me look at electricity, I mean, you have a country, where, I mean, how can the country develop in the absence of stable and consistent electricity? How do you attract businesses to the city or to the country when you lack just consistent and stable electricity? So those are things that unless we're willing to resolve these issues, Liberia, like you said, will remain stuck in this state of no progress. And I couldn't agree with you more when you said we don't have time. We don't
No.
have
We
time.
don't have
I mean,
time.
yeah, our neighbors
No time,
our neighbors
Joe.
around us are making progress.
Yeah.
And we are stuck in neutral, if not retrogressing.
Okay. So,
And and Moses, just before you
yeah, go
come in,
ahead. Yeah.
and Liberians find this to be the norm. Is normal for them.
Yeah,
Millions of Liberians think this is normal, but honestly, we don't have the time for our history, for who we are as the first republic on the continent to remain the least at this time.
yeah,
When we make the comparison, because it's factual. Rwanda had a civil war, internal strife, just like us, where they lost more people than us. More than 1 million people died, but they were able to bounce back. Today, they call them the Singapore of
Wow.
Africa. Okay? Ghana the other day, when we
Yeah.
were growing up, they said, oh, the Ghanaians came
Yeah.
here
Liberians
and they were
used to make
stealing your
fun of
land for sugar.
Ghanaians. Yeah. Liberians used to
They were
make fun
stealing
of
your land.
Ghanaians. Hmm.
We were breaking.
Hmm.
But look at Ghana's economy. It didn't happen because they were lazy people. I'll tell you one thing. The reason why we where we are, here's the other reason. You got more Liberian drinking alcohol than they work. I'm telling you guys the absolute truth. More Liberian drink alcohol than they work. They go to work drunk, they leave work drunk. This is no secret. There's
And
more drinking spots in this country
yep.
than any other institution.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that.
Most drinking spots in this country. So how would people work when the minds are not sober?
but look, Volcano, let me just say something quickly on that. You know what? You know what is happening? And that's where I wear another hat again. Uh Most of these people are doing what we call
Moses, when I go to
self-medicating.
the therapeutic
They
hospital,
are self-medicating.
I
But many
say,
people got too many
I,
stressors in their lives.
forget about this. I tell you, the problem we have now, at this point,
Yeah, I know. Joe, the people are powerless.
Yeah.
They are
I think that
powerless. Oh
time
man,
is
we
the
have him.
essence.
Yeah, we
We
have
not
those
Yeah.
issues.
cannot
Man, this is a real coincidence tonight. because
that
we're discussing the problems and
no,
Volcano
Okay,
is dealing
we
with
see
the
evidence. We
problem.
see evidence of the problem that we discussed, right?
Yeah, yeah, but like we're saying, the
it's
people
part
are
of
powerless. Mhm.
I don't think he
Oh
knows
my
he's
God.
frozen.
Yeah, his system is really bad tonight. I don't know why. Yeah. Let's just keep talking until he comes back. So Joe, as I was saying, most people when they are faced with all these psychological problems, the only way they feel good and able to function is to be under the influence. And you know why?
Hmm.
When a man is under the influence, he doesn't recognize that he has a problem.
Yeah.
The only time he recognizes that there's no food at home when he gets sober. And when he becomes sober, he realizes that there's no food at home. The mom is complaining, the kids are all over the place. What does he do? He goes right back to the liquor shop
Hmm. Hmm.
and sit there with his friends, where his friends will offer him more alcohol. And that has led to what? Alcohol addiction. It has also led to what? Drug addiction in the country.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Everywhere you pass, like you guys were saying, everywhere you pass, there are liquor stores, nightclubs, you
Yeah,
know.
I think I had a friend who was telling me the story of how he tried to get an insurance company open in Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
It was extremely difficult. He got to run around, as we would say in
Mm-hmm.
Liberia. But when he tried to open,
A liquor spot.
a local business, a local spot,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a bar and a restaurant,
Yeah.
he was able to get the paperwork done rather quickly, and
Oh,
his business
it's rather picking up.
is really picking up. It's
It's
booming.
picking up. Yeah, it's
True to
rather booming. It's
true to
doing good.
what the panel said. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
people regularly visit
am I
the
back, guys? Can you guys
yeah,
hear me
yeah,
now?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We can
Yeah. But
hear you.
But
your
then I see
video.
problem will go through. Yeah, I told you, internet,
Yeah.
calling,
Yeah.
everything. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, sorry that I slip out. We got only
Yeah.
14 more minutes,
Mhm.
15 minutes. So let's roll over to our final caption tonight.
Yes.
The chatter around town, that their
Yeah,
tickets.
can I just say this thing before we go to the next
Yeah.
topic?
Yeah.
Because
Complete. Yeah. Complete.
so
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention the legislature because the ambassador mentioned it in.
Joe, you
You want
gotta
to straighten your
turn your
camera?
Oh,
head
okay,
toward the
okay, yeah.
food
So
right now.
Camera. Yeah. Mhm.
am I on screen? Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
wanted to
good.
mention the ambassador comment about the legislature and the fact that they don't have an e-voting system. As a matter of fact,
Oh yeah.
I think he said one was installed,
In
it was
2014.
never used, and one is again being donated, to the House of Representatives and the Senate. Look, in this day and age, gentlemen, it is technological age. It is shocking that they've not been able to utilize the electronic voting system, even though one was installed, like I said, in 2014. I'm not sure if either the House of Representatives or the Senate has a functioning website. I'm not sure they do.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I
I'm not
stand to be corrected, but I think when I checked prior to coming on the program today, I did not see one. Yes, the
But
House
yet they
of
get fifteen
Representatives.
thousand dollar per salary.
Exactly. These are people
Yeah.
who are dishing out $15,000 for what they call what legislative engagement.
Yeah.
But they
Tell it,
don't.
$1,000.
Ten thousand
Legislative
dollars.
engagement.
I'm sorry. I think I understated the figure.
$10,000.
Legislative engagement.
Mhm.
They don't have a functioning website. I mean, most small businesses in this place. I got my small business here, and I got my own website. I mean, the house of look, look, we're not. We call ourselves a serious country.
I mean,
I
the
mean,
people are jokers, man.
that's exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, how are they voting? How are we supposed to follow legislative function and activities? When you don't even have a functioning website, how do we know what kind of vote you've taken and hold you accountable for those votes you've taken?
No,
We
they
don't
don't.
know. So there's no transparency, none whatsoever. Look, it's so disappointing and frustrating. These guys are willing to just line their pockets with money, but the basic things we need for the government to be functional, they're not willing to do those things. I just wanted to mention that before we go on.
No, it's good you said that. And let me just say this quickly. Besides not having a website, the seat of the national legislature, there are no functioning restroom,
Yeah,
no public restroom.
yeah, yeah.
I'm told that even at the Ministry of Finance, can you imagine? That's the Treasury Department of the Republic of Liberia.
Yeah.
You go there, no functioning restroom. So then, what kind of government? What
Sad.
is happening with our
It's
people?
very sad. It's sad.
A very sad situation. Yeah. So let's move on to 2023. Volcano, you back now, right?
I've been back. I've been back.
Okay. So
And you
let's
guys
move
can hear
on to
me?
2023. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, as I was saying, the chatter going around is that people are saying that probably Cummings and Mr. Boycott will uh, put a ticket together. Now I'm getting a call coming through. Somebody's trying to call. Uh, you'll forgive me. Hey, Mel.
The main
MS, is
labor.
it padre? Is it?
Hey guys,
Yeah,
are you
Dr.
guys
Pate,
all kind of?
welcome.
I know you having the syndrome.
Yeah, go ahead, quick, my man. We ain't got much time. Make your
Look,
point.
man, just no. I think I just want to buttress the guys' studios there. I mean, I was in Monrovia for 12 days. Visited Central Monrovia only 2 times. Brothers.
You
All
did
the
two times
streets
since
I
I
visited.
since I came in 2 weeks now. I've not crossed City Hall. I'm a real look. I've not crossed City Hall.
Look, man, go on Broad Street. Go on Galley Street, Vincent Street. Look, man, I think we have to think anew. And I mean, it doesn't, I ain't pay that tonight for the go in the to test what is wrong with our country. We begin to be proactive. It is not a responsibility of the American ambassador to come and take over responsibility of the MC, all of these politics of Monrovia. I mean, trust. Let's be real, man, guys. A lot of trust begin to think anew. I was talking to a guy from Sierra Leone, and he said, "Well, we depend on you guys in the 70s and the 80s. We used to call you guys a small America." Go. Well, Israel right there. As a we got this. Let's be real, man. For this the people and sake of the state and nation, as ordered, we gotta begin.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's take another call. I know that James David was trying to call. James, if you make effort, go ahead, call. We're here. Yeah, but so what I was saying was this whole idea that uh, Mr. Boyka
Parent of
and Mr.
Kennedy's.
Cummings
Yeah.
might end up coming back together, smoke the peace pipe, and be a ticket. There's also noise about Boyka and Yombli Kanga Lawrence. Apparently is the new norm. If if a male president and a female vice president, there's a lot of chatter. There's a new gentleman who came in, Dr. Telford Ammons.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah.
Okay.
He's already had some interviews. I met with
Okay.
him in Paris, in France. We
Hmm.
had a conversation and we exchanged contacts. So he's here in the country right now. I'm not sure if he's declared his candidacy yet, but he has a political party called Greater Action Party or something. And then you also have Tiawon Gonglo, uh,
Yeah.
the uh, lawyer.
Mhm.
He also has his political party. And then you have Dr. Daniel Cassell for PLP. And so, names are thrown out there, and we don't know whether the CPP will ever come back. Um, but if Mr. Boyka and Mr. Cummings decided to team up again and put behind them the past, then probably that's a formidable ticket, that could do serious damage to the CDC.
Mm.
But this is what people are talking about. And so I just wanted to throw out here your opinion, what you think. Do you see this happening? Do you think that Cummings has made a mess of himself with everything that's happened, and Boycott should stay away because people still have mixed feelings about everything and how, Mr. Cummings. I was reading something this guy wrote about 11 or 12 or 13 why Cummings cannot be president. And, so again, it's all opinions. Joe?
Yeah, so let me say this more generally about the opposition, and I will, try to address the specific question. Look, I couldn't be more disappointed in the opposition right now. Just given everything that is happening in the country. Look, everyone in the country, whether you're in the government or your private citizen, everyone should embrace the notion of a strong, vibrant, and engaged opposition. Because what it does is that it keeps the government's feet to the fire. It helps the government to realize that there's a governing waiting, and if you don't do what you need to do or what is expected of you, that governing waiting can replace you. But I think the CDC government now sees the opposition as weak. I mean, they're more they're more engaging in attacking one another. I mean, it's a circular firing squad going on right now in the opposition. You, they're shooting one another, and the government is just there. I mean,
Yeah.
you imagine we're talking about the U.S. government criticism of the government and not the opposition criticism of government. I don't know
No.
if any folks in the opposition have said anything about the ambassador op-ed since it was released. I'm not sure because I think
No.
they didn't worry about the court case, the legal defense, in talking the defense, the prayer. Look, so it's terrible. It's bad. I mean, I'm extremely disappointed as someone who would love to see an engaged opposition, to counter the government. I'm extremely disappointed. But to the specific question, in terms of the pairing of the different pairing you mentioned, I'm not sure. Uh, Prior to everything that has happened, that has unfolded in the opposition camp in the CPP, I think many people felt, maybe they still do today, that a Boycott Cummings ticket will be perhaps the most formidable ticket, to go against the CDC. Whether that is a possibility now, given all the bad blood that exists in the CPP and that exists with Wakai and maybe not directly with the two leaders, but with their supporters, I don't know if that ticket can be possible. I don't know if it's a possibility. But they say in politics, anything can happen, So I'm not going to rule it out,
Yeah,
but
but Joe, if the
obviously,
two gentlemen decide that's what they want, the
yes.
followers will
The
have
follower
to,
to fall in line.
oblige.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So all the noise you're hearing from the surrogates and the followers, those noise I'm sure will die down if the two gentlemen keep together and say we want to do this thing. But right now, I'm not sure that's a possibility given all the bad blood that has happened, between the two candidates. But I think generally most people would agree that the Baka Cummings ticket will be the most formidable to the CDC. I think even CDC people realize that as well.
Yeah. I agree that the pairing of Boaka and Cummings will make a very good ticket. But now the catch 22 here is the issue of trust.
Hmm.
Where they have come from with the CPP situation. There are people in the camp of Ambassador Boaka, who strongly believe that comments will not make a good vice presidential candidate. And there are also people in the camps of Mr. Cummins who are saying that, hey, you don't need to go with Ambassador Boaka.
Okay.
That's the uphill tax.
Okay.
But again, like you guys said, anything is possible in politics. Now, let's look at the primary objective of the CPP to make George Weah a one term president. Today, the CDC is celebrating because George Weah is sitting pretty well. I mean, whether we like it or not, the guy is sitting pretty well. While they fight among themselves, you don't hear from the opposition collectively. You don't hear from the opposition, even as individuals. Look at this attack. Look at this statement that came from the ambassador. How many of our Liberian presidential hopeful, how many of them have either come out to say, yes, we stand with Ambassador McCarthy, or we disagree? Have you heard anything from them? Nobody says nothing. It's like they are disengaged, just as George Weah himself. So George Weah and his CDC are sitting pretty well. That's my own reading into it. I don't know what you think, gentlemen.
No,
Well,
no, I agree. Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
this whole thing started, you could see, and where all of this fear came from was this bicentennial election. Oh, bicentennial. This midterm
CPP?
senatorial elections that
Okay, yeah.
what's his
Mm-hmm.
name, Darius
They,
Dillon,
they don't, yeah.
stormed through,
Yeah.
and so it was a wake up call. And then some of the independent candidates like Brownie Samukai
Mm-hmm.
and the likes, but the CPP formation sounded like this is the thing that could really do damage to the CDC.
Yeah.
And so what happens? The ego, the greed. Moses, you said it, and I will continue to remind you that you
Yeah.
said Liberia's problem is the greed.
It's greed.
The three of us here in this room, Moses has been president of Alja. Joe Mason is current president of Alja. If I have the desire to run, I'll come to two gentlemen who previously served and said, listen, gentlemen, I need your blessing. I want to run as president of Alja. What is it that you like or dislike about me? And do you think that I have the
Yeah.
competencies, qualifications to take this organization forward? If you give me your candid opinion and then you say, but listen, we will work with you and will help you, then it means that you mean good for Alja because you want to support the cause of Alja. But in the case of the Liberian presidency, it's always that independent run. It's
Yeah.
always that entitlement that everyone thinks that he or she has the absolute recipe for the presidency and to solve our country problem. And that is where we are. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure if any conglomeration or any pairing would make a difference because the Liberian people are confused right now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I agree.
And we don't have time. They
I
don't
agree.
have time. The voters don't have time. They're absolutely confused. If I tell you a lot of young people are disenfranchised, a lot of young people are mad at President Weah, but they say that even though we're mad, we still love the guy.
Yeah.
They just vote on the law for the man. They're not voting for any substance. They're not voting because President Weah taking the country to higher heights,
No.
changing the dynamics, changing the trajectory, but they love the man.
That's
And
right.
so those same people will go to the polls and they're not even going to do the any money more I was telling you about the other day. They just go straight for George Weah.
Yeah.
That's it. Done deal.
Yeah.
Because they have not been convinced that there
And they are
is a
powerless. The
alternative.
people are powerless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Mm-hmm.
They're
and,
not
and, and the thing
convinced
is
that
this,
there's an alternative.
so the Weah administration now has the advantage of incumbency.
Yeah.
It's difficult to defeat an incumbent president because now the man got more resources than he had, several years ago when he was just a candidate. The man got the whole resources of a government at his disposal, and there's no telling that he's not going to use it, to win a second term. So it will be an uphill challenge for the opposition, which is why they're making it even more difficult for themselves with all this bickering that is happening in their midst. If their goal, the question I ask myself, and I sure most Liberians will ask themselves too. Say, for example, Cummings goes, with somebody else, and Baga goes with somebody else. So if there's a second round, say, a hypothetical second round with George Weah and Wakai, who would the Cummings folks support? Who would the Liberty Party of Ability support?
Yeah.
If there's a second round and there's a hypothetical, of Wakai and Weah, are they going to say, their bad blood is such that no, we're going to try our weight behind President Weah and give President Weah a second term? That's a possibility. Like I said, anything can happen in politics. So, the next several months will be really, really interesting, and we're looking to see how things unfold. But given how things look right now, if the opposition don't put their acts together and do it quickly enough, there's no telling, that President Weah might win a second term. I mean, you can rule out.
Yeah. And I would just like to say now, this is where the future of Liberia comes into play. 2023 will be a critical year in Liberia. Like Joe said, no one person can win the 50 plus, percent in winning the presidency. It's not possible. George Weah cannot easily succeed as CDC to win the 50 plus. No, he will need support. Joseph Boakai will need similar
Yeah.
comments, and the rest of the guys will have to also support one another in coming to the top. This is
And let's
about the
just
future
hypothetically
of
say,
Liberia. Yeah,
Moses, that
yeah.
we are decides to go with another vice president. That means he lost a lot of votes with the NPP.
Yeah, from the NPP. So you see that. So 2023 is going to be a critical year
It
for
will be.
Liberia.
It will be. It will
It
be.
will be.
I think
It's the future.
that's the elections that take us forward or
Or backward.
backwards.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the election.
I agree. Because given the way things are in Liberia now, and again, I'm not trying to say, well, George Weah should not be re-elected, but this is about the future of Liberia. Mr. Weah has demonstrated over the years that he's just not a leader. He has no clue in terms of what he's doing. And you gave him another 6 years? This is about the future of Liberia. That's my reading into it. 2023 will be a critical year in Liberia.
So, gentlemen, on that note, I want to say thank you so much. We've covered our time here in the issues room, 1.5 hour plus. I thought it was a good conversation tonight. Again, we always try to do the best here in the issues room, discuss the issues, the things that matter. And the things that matter most is our country and our citizens, our loved ones, our relatives. Whether you're in Liberia, whether you're out of Liberia, man, listen, no Liberian man hates his country. I know it for a fact. Between me and you, since I left this country, I've traveled to no other country. I've always been coming back. And I ask myself, well, what's going on? You understand me? But it's the love for country. And sometimes people don't seem to get it. They think that when we talk like this,
Yeah.
we bad muffing the country. No. We want to come back to a beautiful place that we once knew. That's the reason why we hold these conversations. So the people in power can know that it matters to us as well. We're not just talking because we want to talk. We're talking because we know what Liberia is capable of and what Liberia can be tomorrow. But time is of the essence, and we can continue to do business as usual. And that is what is happening around here. When you come to Monrovia, everything is lackadaisical. It's a laid back. It's chill time. This country is not going as fast as it should, like our, compatriots. It's serious, serious stuff. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll continue the conversation. Joe, thanks for coming in and availing yourself tonight. It's after midnight on this side of town. It's going to 1 o'clock in the morning, and you can tell from the way I look, I really want to hit the bed.
Very exhausted.
gentlemen,
Yeah. And
Thank
then
you so much.
and my man will pray too for your internet.
Yeah.
Got the LTA, I should blame. They said they were bringing fiber optic.
Right, Joe?
Yeah, no. Honestly, we hope that
We understand, man. We pray for the better.
we pray for the better. But thanks so much for guys for the invitation. It's always good to be on to talk about issues that are dear to us, talk about our country, and I'm available whenever you guys need me to come out. Thank you so much.
Sure, Mr. President. You're welcome. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you too, Volcano. Enjoy, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
We just want to thank all of you, our wonderful viewers and listeners who came in the issues room tonight to join us here on the conversation. Florence Kinsley, we say thank you for joining us. Achimore Fredericks, Zizi Wibugi Bade, Cole Gloria Voka Moba, Joseph Conto, Paul Johnson, Derek Poor. Thank you for joining us. James Davis, as usual. It was good having you. We didn't have our man Thomas Awaji tonight. I need to check with him what's going on. Rivers says, bro, we adore you guys. Didn't show up tonight. Dawkins Riches didn't come in tonight, but we had Wilmot Caillou, Mark Sandy, Mike Sandy all the way is Kolokupa, all the way. He didn't say exactly. Okay, but he was trying to say something about Ghanaians drink more alcohol than Liberians. We have Sam Abu in the house, Bambala Swalaka, Joel Cisco, Cizzy Morris, Gabriel Daniels, Adiaha Umo, Bennett O'Kerner, Janet Bendu Bien. Thank you so much for coming in this night. Larry Saba from Pennsylvania, Cecilia Brown, Etwa Seleki or Silika, Washington Dolo, Namiento Nino Brown, LeBoy Tengbe, Elizabeth Bowen. Thank you all for coming in the issues room. We'll be back here on Tuesday, God's willing. Hopefully my voice will restore and I'll be back to my basic. Right now the weather, I'm under it, and so hopefully everything will be cleared up. I'm working on my remedies, my local remedies, the lime, the ginger, the garlic, and whatever else I can put together to get back on my feet. But thank you all for being there. We'll catch up again.